buckets of blood, buckets of blood.
Oh, okay, you want to take yours?
Oh, sorry.
Buckets of blood, buckets of blood, buckets of blood, buckets of blood. Wow, that was amazing.
That was from a song from another podcast I listened to.
Wow.
They did to Seasons of Love. But said,
That's
buckets of blood, blood,
oh.
blood, blood, blood.
Oh.
Okay.
Sisters, sisters who've seen it. We are the sisters, sisters who've seen it. Sisters, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, sisters, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, sisters, 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 sisters. Sisters who've seen it.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hello. I literally saw your brain think to do that, and I was really jealous I didn't think to do it first. Damn it. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our episode.
Do or do not, there is no try for podcasting.
Steve Jobs is an incredible innovator.
Oh, listeners. Wow, I hope you're getting this reference, or else you're going to be a little lost this episode.
Oh!
Woo! All right, well, let me introduce ourselves so you know who we are. We're not Steve Jobs or the other lady. All right, so we are the Sisters Who've Seen It, the podcast where two sisters who are not movie critics look back on some of our favorites throughout the years through a psychological, ethical, and familial lens. I'm Katie.
I'm Bridget.
And
with one single drop of blood.
God damn it. Have you ever had to say goodbye to a loved one too soon? Wow, relatable. Bridge, this is our nostalgic happy hour. And this is a surprise because we just like do what we want, you know?
We do what we want.
The beauty of being a creator, I suppose. Yeah. Listeners, this week we are focusing on okay, so let's just clarify. In the context of the nostalgic show, we will be addressing The Dropout, which is a Hulu show that came out this past year, March 2022. But really, we're kind of going to be talking about Theranos, because that is the main focus of the show. The show focuses on the former CEO, and I guess founder, Elizabeth Holmes. And the reason we decided to pick this episode as opposed to what we were going to do was because, well, Bridge, recent news.
11 years in jail.
Bye-bye.
135 months.
135 months. Wait, months? Is that math? Oh, yes. Yeah. 135. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, sorry. Wow. Yes. She going to jail. I would love to see a court drama of all of this and how it played out, because they kind of stopped the show once they get to the court stuff. But, Bridge, do you want to give... I'm putting this on you, because I feel like you can do this justice. Can you give, like, a mini synopsis of... Really, it's, I guess, The Dropout, but also Theranos, because it's the same.
Yeah. So I read a little bit about this, and it's based off of, like you said, the company Theranos, which the mission of that company was basically a blood testing company. And the way that you test blood is people have to take a lot of blood to test it.
Yeah.
And figure out your diagnosis and all that. And the whole vision was, imagine if you just had one single drop of blood. What if you had the smallest amount of blood and blah, 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 and that was the whole thing. And this is based on a real story, and it was a complete fraud. It, at the time, was one of the most heavily invested startups of all time, and had incredibly famous people invest in this company, and it was really all based on the CEO, Elizabeth Holmes, who is now in real life going to jail for this fraud. But at the time, I don't think people really understood how things came to be such a fraud. And so what this mini-series does is it tries to take you back from really her perspective of I feel like it was trying to answer the question, why? Why did she do this lie? Why? How did this happen? And so there were so many podcasts that came out, and this is based on a podcast with the same name, The Dropout.
Yes. Podcast came first.
The podcast
then the show came second.
So good. And Rebecca Jarvis, she hosted the podcast. I think there might be other people on it, but she was part of the creation of this show.
Right.
And does it really well. And Amanda Seyfried? Yeah. Is just spectacular. I mean, so she won an Emmy for this performance. And
did she?
Yeah, and if anybody saw the series, like, she totally deserved it. She was incredible. And there's a lot to cover, and I think the best way to do it, Kate, is chronological.
Yeah.
Because I think if I go into, like, what happened and the fraud in this, it's, like, part of the whole episode. Wow. Did I summarize that? Or did I just talk about things?
I think you summarized in there.
All right,
and
okay.
I mean, Bridget and I said this before we started recording, listeners, but like, we typically do movies, and really a lot of the movies we do, in fact, I'd say maybe every single one we've ever done is like mainly fiction and like not like documentary or based on a true story. But this is. And so, yeah, like part of it's of course dramatized, but really a lot of this is just kind of how stuff happens. So, you know, the lines will be blurred, if you will, but it starts off, she is in high school. She didn't even college yet. Like, she's like a high school kid, and she's got big dreams of, I want to invent something, blah, blah, blah. And she gets really enamored with Steve Jobs, too, because it seemed like around the same time, that's when he was kind of getting big with Apple and all that. I can't give you dates, because we all know how that goes with me.
So Theranos started to become really big, I think, in 2008, and it went, like, all the way to 2015, and that was the demise. And, like, Steve Jobs and the iPod and all the like groundbreaking Mac computer technology, I believe that was like really early 2000. I'm gonna throw out like 2001 too. So it's like as she's in her like middle school, high school years, Steve Jobs is like super like big.
Yeah.
But one of the things I found mind blowing about this first episode is her father gets fired.
Oh yeah, the drama,
because he was a part of Enron.
Wasn't that another fraud scam?
Massive fraud
God,
company.
all in the family.
Like world-class fraud that they were cooking their books. And if there was like the internet back then, people would be obliterated. But I don't think people talk about this enough. And he was a VP. So you know he was absolutely part of the fraud. Like he was absolutely part of it.
It's so interesting about that because I'm sure they talked about that piece of it in the episode. But from what I remember in that episode is her takeaway from that experience is not, dad messed up and look what happened when he messed up. Her takeaway is, oh my God, my poor dad. Like, I don't ever want to have people like have to worry about money. So like, I have to be rich. And isn't that so fucking wow, guys? What a trajectory we go on from there.
When we get to the end of this episode, I want your professional diagnosis of her because I know there's got to be something there. But she also, it's very important that she grew up very privileged with a lot of money.
And like connections.
And that's important later because a lot of her connections through her parents and her dad that got that money from a fraudulent company are what helps propel and give her trust because she's like, hey, you knew me as a kid. I was introduced to you from boop, bop, boop, bop, boop. But then it goes to her traveling in Beijing where she meets Sunny.
Yeah, okay.
Who's Sunny? Give a synopsis on Sunny. How would we describe him?
Jesus Christ, what could you say? He's an older guy, which I don't know how much older he is, but like he's older than her. So, okay. He has money because he invested in like some software, something. So he's just like doing this for funsies with other children, but he's not a child. And I didn't like that.
Yeah. He's 19 years older than her.
Why is that allowed? Why is he on the pre-college study abroad and he's not a chaperone? Can someone explain it? I don't understand. I hate it. It's gross.
But here's what's interesting about him. So he was totally a weird creeper. But at the same time, he actually made his money legitimately. Like he had a software company, sold it, made a ton of money. And like he was really the biggest part of the problem because when we get to later episodes where they wanted to fire her as the CEO, she was like, well, since you've basically been like fucking me, you're gonna step up. And in the show, it exaggerates it to $20 million that he then reinvested into the company. But in real life, I think it was around $12 million.
That's
but
so
like,
crazy.
I mean, he just had millions just like chilling. And I don't know, part of me thinks his logic was there's a young, beautiful, blonde woman.
And she was alone and she had no friends there because we come to find she's a very awkward person. So that's another piece to all this. But like, he's a predator and I don't like it. And again, where are the chaperones, people?
Well, and part of her legal case in real life later is she really says like, he abused me, but there's too many like, there's too much time without him where she was really like driving her own autonomy that doesn't work. But you could definitely see, and actually this is what's so crazy about this story is like so many former employees, if you read about it, say like he was a tyrant. Like,
they show him like that in the show.
And you're thinking to yourself, you still got money left. Like, just leave. Why do you care? But I think he loved her. Yikes.
Woof.
All right.
Well, he's cuckoo bananas.
And then we find out she's at Stanford, right?
She goes to Stanford, and this is where she meets the lady who was in Roseanne.
Oh my God, Dr. Phyllis Gardner.
Oh, we love her. I mean, the real lady's cool too, but I love this actress. I think she's awesome.
Oh my God. And like, this really happened. I think the woman was like, this is literally impossible. You can't do the thing you want to do. And so here's the thing that's crazy, Kate. Like, I remember this. Like, I remember being like, wow, this woman is so incredible. This Elizabeth Holmes. And it's so funny to think like a Stanford professor immediately was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, what? How did no one else like know?
I don't remember the lady's name, but she's awesome. Because there was like, there's like probably more than just one documentary, like actual straight up documentary about all this. And when they interview the real lady, like, she just like every time they ask her a question, she just like makes fun of Elizabeth Holmes. She's like, she's a freaking weirdo.
Wow.
She's like, let me tell you about the weird shit this kid would do. And you're like, wow, damn lady. But you know what? Like, you're allowed to. It's fine. It's all fine.
I mean, kind of. And what's also crazy is we see this like softer side of Elizabeth where she gets like sexually assaulted at a party.
That's sad.
And the school ignores her.
Yep.
She tries to do the right thing and they didn't believe her. And to be honest, Kate, I think it was almost weird she even admitted it back then, you know, to even go to the school and say, hey, this happened to me.
Yeah.
But so then you see everything you're starting to see as a kind of a young child to like early student. You're starting to be like, all right, her way that she like takes in information and her moral compass is like kind of off, but you're still like liking her. I mean, I would say I still like her at this point.
Yeah, I do too. And a lot of it was like she was trying to fit in. So it was like, oh, I'm going to fit in with the sorority girls. And then I think it's either this episode or maybe the next one, they do the scene where she starts practicing the voice, where she like changes it and she's like doing it in a mirror. And then like other girls are like, what are you doing? Like, what's happening?
Crazy.
So you feel bad because you're like, oh, this is like sad. And you have this creepy predator man, Sunny, who's stalking you from afar and everything sucks and welcome to life.
And think about that. Everyone around her are men.
Yeah.
Because the only woman that she went to was the Stanford professor that was like, this is stupid. And then the other professor that, his name was Robertson.
The guy. Oh my God.
He was like, yeah, you're really smart and this is great. And everyone's like, you're really smart. You're really smart. You're really smart. And he was the one that said you should switch your patch idea to this machine.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, okay, cool. And then it's like we get right into like day one of startup, right? We get right into her like, okay, this professors don't believe me, but this one does, and I'm gonna go do my own thing and drop out, right? That's hence the whole show.
That's
name.
Why we call it the Dropout, and it reminds me of the song was from Chicago where it's like, is it Chicago? It's some musical. They're like, you gotta get get a gimmick if you want to win it. And that's what this feels. She was like, that's my gimmick, is like, I'm a dropout. And we're going to highlight that.
Well,
and we're going to put it on the billboard. And everyone's going to think it's awesome because I'm a success.
Well, at the same time, that's Mark Zuckerberg, right?
Right.
So Facebook is happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Where everyone is flipping the script on like, wow, really young people who are really like smart in the technology and innovation space, they don't need college and we are ready to support them. And there was not a woman at the time. And so I feel like all of these things were just so ready for her to be like the pariah, like we're ready for you, you know?
Ugh.
Oh my God. And so it's really interesting. Did you read like the judges kind of final?
Well,
whatever?
didn't he say, he was like, you're a really smart woman. Like, you're so smart. And like, everybody leans into this like brilliance of her. And I'm kind of like, okay.
I know.
We don't need any more of that. That's what got us here, I think, to some degree. So let's back up.
But I feel like there is such a truth that like these VCs, these venture capitalists, like invest millions and people fail all the time. Companies lose millions of dollars all the time. And the difference with her is in the beginning, she really was like, let's try and fail and try and fail. And like, I don't think she was honestly like, I want to totally defraud people.
Yeah, no.
And like the judge, that was the thing that he like said. He's like, I get it. It's people fail. That's how this industry works. But you literally frauded them. Like that's the difference.
Right.
It's not failing. You knew and you were lying. That's the difference. And so I feel like episode 1 and 2, I'm like, I really was like into like, how did she get here? And then it just starts to turn and it gets so dark. You know?
So this is where she is looking for money. So she's trying to get people to invest.
Yes.
And just going around. And so again, you do see some scenes where it's like people don't take her seriously or like they talk down to her because she's a woman and like that sucks because that's true. And that was a whole nother piece of this that like some of the articles I read were commenting on was like, yeah, you know, she got her sentence and like, yes, it was necessary. But also like there's a lot of men who commit fraud and they never get sentenced. And like, what the fuck? Like that kind of sucks. And like, I think that's a big piece of this whole story is it was like, oh yeah, we all want a woman to succeed, but then like, LOL, it's like so funny when she fails too. And I'm like, this like sucks.
Yeah. It's making me think of Fire Festival with Billy McFarland. You remember that shit?
Oh, Is he in jail? Because I bet he's not. I bet he's sipping wine somewhere.
He did go to jail, but he got let out early. And so he is already, he's already out of jail.
Is he planning Firefest 2.0? Because I will not be attending.
Well, I'm just like, to your point, and this is what is so fucking frustrating about Elizabeth Holmes, is like, you were what men were waiting for. They were waiting for someone to fail so epically that they could never trust a woman again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so boring and obvious. And in real life, the women that I talk to that do have their own startups and are trying to make money, it is still just as hard. And they will quote things like Elizabeth Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, this is like, there was such wild damage with this whole story. And I think the other thing too is like, there's a little bit of jealousy, I think, from some men that she was able to get so much money because she kind of used a little bit of her sexuality.
Yes.
Not in a way that she had sex with these people.
Right.
But in a way that she's got pretty privilege. She knows how to talk to men. And let's face it, like, they wanted to, you know, be in cahoots with this young woman. And, you know, it's just, it's a mess.
Well, that's another piece, because by the second episode, and they make it a point in the show to, like, point this out, is, like, she didn't dress like a CEO. She would, like, wear, like, weird lumpy sweaters and, like, just, like, mismatched clothes. And her hair was, like, all kooky. And so, like, in the beginning, she's training investors, and it was, like, no one was taking her seriously. But then I think by, like, the third episode is when she starts literally just dressing like Steve Jobs in black turtlenecks. And, like,
God, it's ridiculous.
That's all she wears from then on out. And again, it's like, nobody fucking cares what the guys look like.
I know.
Or what. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a fucking shit.
Well, and if you ever watch the Facebook movie, there is like a scene where Mark Zuckerberg and the the guy for Napster who Justin Timberlake plays.
Yes.
They show up to a meeting in pajamas because their shit is so good.
Because they're cool guys.
Now, unfortunately, the truth is their stuff worked. So, like, I kind of am like, well, I guess.
All right.
I guess buying a turtleneck isn't the same.
I'm still mad about the metaverse. Mark Zuckerberg. Don't think I forgot.
But wait, I gotta talk about this scene because I think this shit is so real. Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle, and she meets him on a boat. You remember this?
Oh, this fucking guy.
And
he's
like,
I felt like this was like an episode of Sopranos, and I was like, who's getting shot on this boat and thrown overboard? Because I'm here for it.
But like, he literally says, you gotta want that money. And she's like, yeah, I want the money. He's like, no, you gotta
it was like
want.
Creepy. It was like cult initiation creepy.
Oh my God.
He's like, you gotta want, and then she starts screaming, and she's like, I gotta want it. And I was like, ew, what's happening?
That's where
I hate it.
Amanda Seyfried was so good.
Yeah, she's
like,
so good
her,
at this role.
Like, take on awkwardness and yet, like, power hungry. It was perfection. I was like, wow. And that was, like, the start to it, because I think she gets a lot of
money
millions,
from that.
A lot of millions. And then, this is what is so interesting about this shit, is I don't know if this is, like, just back then, or maybe if this still happens now. The due diligence was, well, if Larry invested, I'll invest. Because I assume that they did their due diligence.
Yeah.
And then it, like, trickles, right? It keeps going.
I also think it's crazy how a lot of this investment was like, they didn't have the product. And like, that was, at this point, it was explicitly stated, like, it's not made yet, but like, we're making it. And like, you could be in the beginning of it. And like, I don't want to buy a shirt until I can look at it personally.
Yep. All right.
But,
I gotta go on my
crazy.
soapbox, Kate. I gotta go on my soapbox.
Oh, is it
All
going to
right.
lead us to Jurassic Park somehow? Because I'm ready.
No.
Damn it. Okay.
At the time that all these companies were just like crazy startups, Facebook, all this, blah, blah, blah. It was all software, okay?
Yeah.
She wanted to make a medical device.
Yeah.
In the real world, that shit takes forever to make because it's a physical thing that you have to get the FDA to clear, and you're dealing with people's physical health. You're not dealing with a stupid screen where you could type to somebody and say,
Metaverse?
hey! You could say, hey, Kate, I went to work today. Look at this picture of my coffee. Like, the stakes of what she went after were so wildly high, and I don't think you'll ever see this again because it was just, like, wildly dangerous.
Yeah.
There's something about the fact that, like, this is why that wasn't a thing. This is why there wasn't, like, physical medical products saying they're gonna change the world. The medical products that change the world usually take, like, 20 years to make.
But I think what's the ironic part of that is, like, I feel like when you present it the way you just did, every person can agree, yeah, like, you gotta take that stuff seriously. But then, like, what happened in real life was she was presenting it from, like, a business standpoint of, like, you guys can make so much money because, like, this will eventually be super crazy famous. And then nobody fucking cared if it was gonna be real or not. They were all just like, yay, money, hooray. And, like, ew, that's, like, so real and I hate it.
It's really real. And this is also when she first starts is when we meet Ian Gibbons.
Oh, this was the professor. Or not professor.
This is
scientist, man.
The scientist who ends up killing or unaliving himself, right?
Yes, this is, who is this actor? He's a famous actor. Stephen Fry.
And can you believe he was with her all the way from the beginning?
Yeah, that blows my mind. So, and the connection was she just, like, ended up hiring him, right? Like, he didn't have a Stanford connection, I don't think. Or did he?
No. She went to her old, like, Stanford students, cohorts.
And the professor, too.
And the
like,
professor.
helped her do something.
So those names could be like, you gotta meet with this person. And then he was a super famous chemist. And he was like, sure, like, let's do something cool. Like, I trust you two. So everything that she got into was based on someone else trusting someone else that was connected to her. It's so wild.
And that's the saddest thing about him, aside from how it ends, because that is, in fact, the saddest part. But aside from that. It's just so sad because he like genuinely believed her, and he was just such a pure person that was like, yeah, you want to do good, and I believe in that, and like, let's make it happen, and like, hooray, go team. And he was the only one who kind of had that mindset, fortunately.
When he passes away, and I read that in real life she was that cold. She didn't even call the wife. They just took the documents from the house. I'm like, in my mind, you should be in jail for like 25 years for that.
Right. Yeah. Well, and there have been real life true crime court proceedings that are surrounding just that, of like there was one about the girl who basically persuaded her boyfriend to complete suicide, and he did, and she got indicted and went to jail. But like, you know, in this case, I don't think that was part of her sentencing. That just recently happened.
But in my mind, I'm like,
yeah, you're right. It should have been.
Yeah.
So this is the third episode, and again, she's kind of like, she's got investors. It's growing, but this is where they start to realize that their product that wasn't ever really a product is not being a product.
Well, and they pull in the big guns, and I want you to look up.
Oh, is this the lady?
This is
the Apple lady?
Yep, this is Anna Ariella, and I want you to look up. I'm gonna send you this LinkedIn page because I went on this crazy rabbit hole when I was watching this show.
Oh, I have to join LinkedIn to see.
Oh my god! All right,
I'm not gonna do that. I love you.
Let me read this for you, okay?
Okay.
Because she's went on to do these amazing things, but basically she designed the iPhone, and
yeah,
of course Theranos at the time is this bigwig thing, and so she tries to poach her, and she's like, I heard you designed the iPhone, you've changed my life, Steve Jobs, like, come design this is the next iPhone. And she's like, yeah, shit, I think it's the next iPhone, let's do it. And obviously she learns right away that it is total BS.
She quits, doesn't she?
I'm gonna read her LinkedIn piece. So
okay.
She, at the time, was vice president and chief design architect of Theranos. In 2007 for 4 months. 4 months it took her to be like, hey, I was designing something. I got part of the company. You started to pay me. And then I learned it doesn't work. She goes, altruism through corrupt, unethical science fiction led alongside, and now she starts naming these like famous people, an ex-Apple squad building a first generation nanofluid disease mapping point of care device funded by Don Lucas, who that was he was a big investor, and Larry Ellison, that was the old guy.
The old guy, yeah.
Yep. And Theranos is a biotechnology, biomedical device company offering real-time point-of-care blood monitoring systems and pioneering the field of theranostics, the integration of technology and diagnosis therapies for individual patients. Oh, she changed this. Okay, in the past, she literally wrote this whole thing about how, like, she saw... Oh my god, wait, she literally links the Dropout on her LinkedIn page.
Wow. Also, just want to point out, because it looks like Anna identifies as non-binary.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
That's okay. They list their pronouns as they, her.
Okay. So they. I got the they wrong.
But again, that wasn't portrayed in the show. Come on, guys.
Yes. And when I first read their LinkedIn profile, they went on and on and on about the bullshit, and they listed what was fun. So, and okay, I'm gonna tell you some like sneaky stuff from my company. Okay. So
great.
As I'm reading, they list a bunch of names, and I realized one of the names is a bigwig at my company, and I go to their profile on LinkedIn, and they didn't put Theranos on their profile.
Yo!
So they didn't know. People didn't know that some of these people worked there, and Anna called them out.
Dude.
So
that's kind of scary because you technically work in healthcare now.
Yeah. Well, they also got fired already, that person.
Okay, bye.
But if you read the names, I think what Anna was trying to do was say, like, all these people that are trying to pretend they weren't a part of Theranos, yes, they were, and they were the problem. And I am owning up to it, and none of you are. And I left in 4 months, and I had complete and utter integrity. And I feel like I took that away from the episode.
Well, and I will say, I feel like the episode did do a good job of portraying that they were basically, because I'm pretty sure Anna is like, you did a trial trial on cancer patients, because that's like part of it, where it's like,
Yeah.
we're gonna use these cancer patients to like do our trial, and then they were like, how dare you?
I know, my heart.
What a vulnerable population, and this doesn't even work, and what are you gonna do? You're just gonna like lie to them about their results, and then of course, like, you know, Amanda Seyfried is like, deny, no, it works, whatever. And then that's at least how the show portrays them quitting. So I don't know, but yeah, it's starts to go downhill from here. And I don't know if this is the episode either, but you do see a scene where there's a big presentation and Amanda Seyfried is like on the phone with like the actual like scientists and creators, and they're like, it's not working, it's shorting out. And then she basically is like, we have to make it work. Like, what can we do to make it seem like it works, is how she says it. And then I don't know how they like fake the result or something, or like
So
they have like a pre-made result that they end up faking.
I think I read this. I think this really happened. Where,
Yeah.
They were in Switzerland, Novartis, in 2006.
Yeah.
They did a fake demo where they put fake results to a pharmaceutical. Novartis is this major pharmaceutical company, and part of this is again the same pattern of like, well, Novartis saw that it worked, so Novartis is like, yeah, we saw it work. We don't know that much about it, and then that just keeps the buzz keeps going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even in the court, like in real life, the judge like calls her out, like, what's with all these like logos under your like partnerships? And people do that shit all the time on like, business slides. And she was like, oh yeah, we were like talking to them. And it's like, but that doesn't mean you're a partner. You made it seem like they were on board and they like validated the crap you were doing. Oh my God. I know it's like, I know it's so old, but I'm just so mind blown by this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Kate, but then we get to old white men. Okay. Let's just get to the list of wild people that invested.
This guy's eyebrows are insane, by the way. I know he's an actor,
He's a wildly famous actor. Are you kidding me?
Is.
I'm blanking on his name, of course.
Where's his eyebrows? There he is, Sam Waterston.
Yeah. Who is Schultz?
This is the grandpa of who we then come to find Tyler Schultz, who becomes a character. He's not a character yet, I don't think, but so he's a major investor. Wasn't he like a war general or former or something?
Okay, a CEO of like a software company, like that's pretty major, Larry Ellis. But like this jumps to like a political level that like people are like, whoa, he invested?
Yeah.
So he was like a famous general and had such credibility, but was also so old that I think their relationship was kind of weird. I mean, he didn't come off like he ever tried to like sexually do anything, but it did come off like he wanted to feel young.
It felt like sugar daddy, kind of.
Yeah, like he wanted to feel like relevant.
Yeah.
And I think they both were getting something from the other person, and he literally ruined his relationship with his grandson.
Well, he was an asshole, so that's called a natural consequence in the real world. But this is where Walgreens, the big Walgreens partnership, and this is a big deal because this, many would argue, helps to skyrocket and then at the same time cause the demise because it helps expose all the terrible things. But unfortunately, because of this partnership, a lot of people were affected, and that's really terrible and horrible, and I hate it.
Katie, I've been in these offices. It's a bunch of old white dude. And they're all, how about them like dancing and celebrating
They sing a song about blood. That's not the song I sang before. It's another one. And I was like, what the F? Why? I hate it.
But let me tell you, Walgreens, a Midwest company, I'm like, are y'all for real? Like, you just like saw flashy lights and was like, everyone's forget about us. We want to be cool. And we want to be like on edge. And
I feel like there was one Walgreens guy that was like, I have to do like the test, or I have to like get the tour. And then he never gets it. And then Walgreens is like, whatever, it's fine. Let's just do it. And you're like, what?
It's so wild. And they play games about like, oh, CVS was here. And they're like, it was. And like, that stuff happens all the time.
Yeah. They do a lot of psychological warfare with the Japanese restaurant. Oh yeah. Crazy. I remember that now. Now you say say that.
crazy.
At the same time, Ian is, something's freaking weird and I'm trying to understand what's going on. And they're like, not. She's like kind of pulling away from him at this point because her relationship with Sunny that's been going on in the background, that's a secret from everyone, which is also shifty.
Yeah.
He's like becoming more involved. And so it's becoming like, well, now that we are doing shifty things, we can't like tell everybody because like the more that people know, the more it's going to get messed up.
Let's take away all the awfulness. There's something beautiful in the fact that they were hiding their like fake relationship.
Right. It wasn't like being exposed as like a power move or anything.
Yes, at the same time that they're hiding this like fake company. And it's like they just lived in this like world of fraud and it was so fake. And I feel like too, there's this culture of like you work all day. Startups, right? You work all day, you work all night. And then so if you're around with your coworker till 3 a.m, nobody's like, oh, they're definitely sleeping together. Like you just think like that's what you're doing. It's the hustle culture. And that's weird.
That's fucking bullshit. And that's why everybody quit Twitter, Elon Musk. If you're listening. Also, I blocked you on Twitter because you suck balls. Yeah, that should not be what we're striving for. We should not be striving to work for... First of all, I don't even think we should work 8 hours a day, number one, because that's stupid.
I'm here for a 4-day work week.
4-day work week, maximum like 5.5 hours. And even that's rough, you know? Like, I don't get it. But yeah, it's like some people idolize that. And I'm like, why do you do that though? And clearly it didn't help them be more productive because they still like, ruined everything. So
well, and this is like the moment that Novartis, that Swiss company, the moment that she lied about that, I'm like, oof. Mm-hmm. That's a big turning point. And the fact that they just couldn't figure out how to fix it. And Sunny the whole time is like, you need a plan. Because you've gotten so good at selling and getting money that you gotta have a plan. And so then they basically, and this would, if I at the time worked at Siemens, like their competitor, doing blood testing, and I found out that they were buying my stuff, which by the way,
machines,
they had to buy it in a really sneaky way that nobody could trace who bought it. And it had to blow your mind to be like, wow, my competitor getting close to $1 billion in funding is using my machine because their shit doesn't work. That's wild.
Yeah. So this is what, with the Walgreens deal, what their plan originally was going to be was like, we're going to have one of these Theranos devices in every single Walgreens. So you get your blood tested right when you're there. You get immediate results. It's like total healthcare in a Walgreens. But obviously that doesn't work because their machines don't work. So then what they end up doing, because they get this like deadline with Walgreens where Walgreens is like, well, where's the machine? Where's the machine? Where's the machine? Why don't we have the machine? So they change it to instead be like, just make the setup in your Walgreens, but we're going to ship the blood to our like testing places. And this is where they had the secret Siemens devices.
Crazy.
And like, first of all, I get groceries delivered, I just want to say. And sometimes even with that, like shit's gone bad. And like that was from an hour. So what? Like you're shipping blood? What? My God. Wild. It's so backwards, but nobody questioned it. They were like, that's normal. Yeah, whatever.
Well, because they kept using like very vague language, like trial testing, and we're waiting for this to clear. And, we're just doing our due diligence. All this like bullshit business terms. But we forgot to talk about a major point, which was from the beginning, one of her old neighbors was William H. Macy.
Oh my God, I love it.
Is Richard. Now, Richard is similar to the Stanford professor, where Richard from the start is like, this doesn't work. And what he does, and I think a lot of people do, and I did think this was a dick move, but whatever, is as she starts to kind of in the beginning come up with the idea, and he's like, hey, I can help you because I'm like an inventor. And she's like, nah. And his ego gets hurt. He then files a patent for like a really like mini part of it, and she never ever wants to pay him. So they've been fighting back and forth. But he gets to the point that he realizes after like losing his wife, losing his family, this is like the grandson of Schultz, like just lost everything chasing after, like showing that she's a liar. He realizes that Ian Gibbons is on the patent, and so is Elizabeth. And there's a little shakiness of like, and actually that's a really serious thing. Like you have to prove you actually contributed.
You were involved, right?
And normally nobody would actually know, but if he subpoenas him to go to court, then he has to tell the truth at court. court, and this creates the big crazy dilemma, and he had already been shunned for 3 years at a desk job, Kate.
Yeah, I know.
Can
This
you
is so sad.
imagine?
He was such a victim. That's what's like so sad about it. I'm like, you didn't do anything wrong. You were so ignorant to all of this. And like, he tried to do the right thing. And then, yeah.
I was so furious when I found out he had died. I was like, wow. And then I Googled, I was like, this can't be real. And then you look it up, it's real.
Yeah.
This is where I'm like, you're an awful person. This is taking it to the next level. And at the same time, I find this is like crossing paths with Tyler really starting to like work more.
Oh, yeah. So Tyler is the grandson of the old guy with the bushy eyebrows, and Tyler
Schultz.
is like fresh out of college. I'm a bio major, or science, whatever. He's science. And then he's like, yeah, we'll give you an internship at Theranos. Cool. And then he like, I don't know if it's an internship or a job, but
yeah,
he starts working, and then he starts working along, oh God, what's the girl's name? She's important too.
She's the hero of the story.
Yes, she is. What is her name?
I think it was Erika?
Yes, Erika. Yeah, she's working there too.
Erika Cheung.
Erika Cheung. So they both are kind of like, oh, there's like weird stuff here. And like, why is everyone so sneaky? And like, that's dumb and like, whatever. But for some of the time, they don't really like know what's going on initially. And then it comes to find that eventually, isn't it like they're working like a holiday or something? And then something goes wrong with the blood test. And I think it's Erika is like, something's wrong with this machine, being like, uh-oh, we have to fix it. And then she calls like one of the upper level scientists, and they're just like, oh, just like change the numbers. And she's like, what do you mean? That's not science. And they're like, no, that's just what you have to do. Like, that's how you handle that. And she's like, oh shit, like, is that what you guys have been doing? And then that's where she starts to realize, like, oh crap.
I gotta tell you, I have absolutely been in conversations that way. And this is why it is so, like, critical that you are, like, aware of what's happening. Because I think sometimes when you're young at these jobs, it's like, oh, just do this. And you're like, oh, thank you. Because why would you lie to me? And that's what made her such a hero, is she was like, wait, why would I do that? And she was really young. She knew she had no power.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm not gonna, like, give Tyler all the credit. I know he, like, suffered, and I was glad that, like, he put his name on it and not her. But a part of me is like, she needs to be known because she's the real hero. She's the real hero of the story.
And she does get featured in the one documentary I watched. Like, they interview her, like, the actual her, and, like, she talks about it, and they praise her and stuff. Because, yeah, she's the one that basically finally exposes them, like, for realsies.
But in the best, most brilliant way.
Yeah.
With submitting it to I'm gonna totally butcher it. What the hell is the thing called?
It was like some government agency that is supposed to do like, but this is like what was confusing because it's like, this isn't the FDA. This is like,
hold on, I gotta look this up.
Someone else, because they were never FDA approved, which again blows my mind. But like, there's also so many freaking things in healthcare that are like not FDA approved, and people like swear by them, and you're like, guys,
dietary pills.
I know. That's why I'm like, that is so scary. Are you kidding me? Like,
it's horrifying.
There could just be any shit in there. You don't know. Like, oh my god, it's crazy.
Oh my god, what did she submit it to? Hold on, I'm gonna find it.
All right, so, and then Tyler, essentially, like, she kind of keys him into this, and then they both kind of start to ask some questions, and then it gets awkward, and he tries to bring this up to the attention of his grandfather, and that does not go well.
Oh my
Grandpa's
god.
in deny. He's living in denial city. He's got a big old boat floating down it. It's not good. And yeah, it gets really awkward. And eventually this leads to them, I think they get fired, but then it's like weird firing, and they now are fearful because like Theranos kind of built this reputation of like, we're very secretive and like, you know, nobody can talk about anything and like blah, blah, blah. So like they were worried they were going to get sued. And I think at some point there is like legal action taken against Tyler, not Erika.
And his family lost like
but
a lot
does
of
that
money.
happen because he decides to speak to the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal? Is that why?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so then that's his follow-up, and that's where he says, I will use my name, Erika, you won't use yours because you have more to lose, you don't have money, my family has money, whatever. And so he goes to the Wall Street Journal and he tells all this shit, and then the big article comes out, but that still doesn't take down the company, which is really scary, especially in this day and age where people don't like to believe reputable, keyword reputable, reliable media sources.
Yep.
I'm very fearful for our future
Yep.
people. And yeah, good times.
Well, and here we go. It was CMS. And I gotta tell you, Kate, I work with this. The Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services.
Okay.
So think of it as the biggest slog of a government ever known to man. And they had to come in, and it was like some government worker that was like, just let me see your lab. Just let me see your lab. Just let me see your lab. And I find that those two were the heroes, but they were also so young.
Yeah.
And then it was like good. He had his grandpa's name, but it was kind of bad he has his grandpa's name because like people were like, eh. And part of the secrecy, you're thinking, oh, they must be hiding something great. Because nobody wants it to be a lie. And this is, you and I talked about this a long time ago where you gave me this whole cool theory about how, like, because it would have been so amazing for this to work, we all wanted it to work.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I think in one of our episodes, which wasn't about this, but we started off just talking about this. It was probably like, I don't know, in the springtime maybe. Yeah, it was in that documentary I watched where basically a scientist, like a sociologist, was like, most people are willing to gamble on something if they think it's going to have a positive outcome or like a good outcome for others. So like that was another piece to this was like, well, it might be really awesome. And that was the same thing that he theorized that Elizabeth Holmes was going through, where it wasn't that she was sitting there evilly scheming, how can I like scam all these people? Where instead it was more likely that she genuinely believed that she was doing something good for the world without actually stepping out of it and realizing like, even though I want that to be true, like it's not, and I need to like make better choices, and she doesn't.
But they start to realize like, so are we gonna get in trouble? Like they start to be like, so what's the plan here? Because they're managing the like whispers.
Yeah.
But Schultz is like, oh, my grandson's crazy. Tyler's crazy. Like he's still like, and so they're like, oh, okay, it's not totally real. But at this point, I think Walgreens starts to be like, I don't know about this.
Yeah, I think a lot of the places started to ask questions because it was like the article came out, and then this is where they sue the newspaper or like something. Well,
and this is what's wild, but Robert Murdoch, right, the owner of the newspaper, had also invested tons of money in the company.
Classic.
So shit starts to get like really deep and dark and so it's like they don't get the full story out in the way it really should be told because the sources start to get like kind of lost and murky.
Yeah, but this is what I'm getting at is, isn't there a point where an outside lawyer comes and speaks with their set of lawyers?
Yes.
And this is where a big exposure comes out because they explicitly ask, like, I forget exactly how it was worded, but it was something like about the product or the way they were testing blood, and somebody said something that like slipped up essentially, and then they were like, oh, so you guys are lying, and then it was like out, exposed. And then of course the CMS, that was a big piece too, because then that was them being like, wow, everything in this lab is like fucked up and not up to code, and like, Jesus Christ, guys, damn, like what's happening? And then that just, it's all downhill from there. Woo!
Well, the last two episodes are really just the demise. Like, it's just, here's it ending, here's it getting exposed. It was really just like two brave young souls that kicked it going and used media and dumb, boring things like the government. And then, like, you know, that piles on and people are like, yeah, you know, I know someone. And I feel like the last episode, Kate, oh my God.
Isn't
she
this
buys
where...
a fucking dog.
Oh.
Okay, and I'm gonna tell you, she buys a husky and names it Balto.
It's a great movie, but like,
while hundreds of people are losing their jobs, someone died.
Yes.
And the absolute horror and shame of people thinking that they were getting this like hope of blood tests and like got tested on them and got wrong diagnosis.
Yes.
And just dealt with that garbage. She's buying a dog. And she's totally not acknowledging the horrors that she did.
Yeah, she's also living in denial city now.
Well, and we didn't talk about this part, but there's a moment with her mom when she gets sexually assaulted way in the beginning. She basically was like, what do I do? And her mom was like, you bury it. You bury it deep down and you don't talk about it.
Not great advice.
And you just keep moving forward. And I feel like she did this. She's like, oh, okay, this is a mess. She buried it. And she just like, I'm going to buy a dog now. And you're like, holy shit, you're a lunatic.
And then she gets like a random boyfriend. Well, before that though, she and Sunny have a falling out and it's very drama.
It's also It's funny.
It's so funny.
Oh my god.
Doesn't she like give him a box of stuff? I'm like, how the fuck does this man have one box of, or she has a box? And I'm like, how is there only one box in this McMansion?
Can we also talk about the gross scene where they have offices connecting because he was so gross about it, and she closes the blinds and she dances to seduce him, Kate? And then he's like, yeah, I'm into it. And that dance haunts me. This is why she deserved an Emmy. I think it's that dance.
For the sexy, not sexy dance?
The sexy, not sexy turtleneck dance.
And the turtleneck dance, not that.
Honestly, when they were breaking up, you saw this completely other side of her where she's like, I literally don't like you.
Well, and then she pulls out the psychological where she's like, yeah, you knew about all this. And then he's like, don't you fucking put this on me. And she's like, I'm gonna put on you.
And he, by the way, we just learned that she's going to jail. He's going to jail. And we just need to know when the sentencing is. And I will tell you this. If she gets 11 years, he better get at least 11. Because
I don't think he's gonna. I think they're gonna give him less.
I think they are gonna give him less, and I think he should get the same. And I think the moment that she threw out, I reinvested $12 million in your company because we've been, and you started talking to me when I was young, and
yeah.
I feel like that was his moment. He could have left the shit show. And he didn't. So guess what? I think you should get 11 years too, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like him to, but I won't hold my breath because justice sucks. But yeah, that was wild. And then essentially this entire miniseries where it ends, because this was in March or led from March to April 2022, it ended with the beginning of her going to court. And you only see a little snippet of her testifying where she never admits it, technically, but her wording is like dances around it.
I have the actual number. In court, she literally says over 600 times, I don't know.
Yeah. Which you do know. You do know.
Well, and that's what makes this so sneaky, is even the way she was so weird. I feel like the show was trying to give this angle of like, she's not innocent. We're going to show you that she fucked up. But you can see how she can pathologically believe her lies and be innocent in her mind.
Right.
Hence, the lawyer screaming at her at the end, like, you got a dog when we're all fucking losing our jobs and going to jail.
Right.
And it just, how about this, like, full circle, her dad? That's the beginning of her dad getting fired from Enron. And I'm like, that to me is enough.
Yeah.
And, Kate, the bloodline. How about the blood connection, right?
Buckets of blood, Bridge.
Okay. Wow. Someone's got to take me down a notch.
Oh,
I'm
God.
So sorry. I just am so blown by this real life story that is I don't think something like this will ever happen again at this scale. There were so many things that had to converge to make this happen.
And like, we all hope, of course, this never happens again. But I mean, we said it earlier, like, not to this degree, maybe not in this field of healthcare necessarily, but like, this has happened with men before. And it has never gotten to this level of press, or it's never gotten to this level of consequence, and it's bullshit, and it's gonna keep happening like that because patriarchy sucks. So I do just want to point out, and I know I already referenced my feelings towards it, but I just out of curiosity on Twitter, I was like, I'm gonna go see if there was a Theranos Twitter page, because there probably was, and I found it. A lot of it was just, like, old, of course. Like, the last tweet was, like, 2017, which tracks with the timeline. And it was, like, just kind of generic things, but one that I thought was really fucking hysterical. And this is another, this is a different, I'm not gonna go on a soapbox, but, like, I have a lot of strong feelings about the Twitter thing, because I feel like Twitter, there was so much good going for it that's being dismantled by the evil idiot man, Elon Musk. But one of the really awesome things that had been kind of set up about Twitter was they started to do this thing where they would fact check tweets, and it would literally it was like a whole system where if somebody said something, depending on what was being said, if it was wrong, like misinformation wrong, there would be a blurb that would be automatically attached to the bottom of it that you couldn't get rid of automatically unless you deleted your tweet, and it would say, this is wrong or misleading, and here's why, and it would give you the actual facts. So lo and behold, on the Theranos Twitter page, there is a tweet made in December 2015.
Wow.
This was with the Walgreens partnership where it says, when you walk in for a Theranos lab test, we treat you as we'd like to be treated, as a guest, not a number. That's all it fucking says. And then it's a picture of like, they had all these famous ads for the Walgreens thing that they talked about in the documentary. And underneath it goes, this tweet was and is dishonest. Elizabeth Holmes and her company Theranos took millions of dollars from gullible investors and more from trusted consumers. It was a fraud scheme. Here's all the lawsuits. And like, that's like fucking on Twitter forever. Because now no one works at Theranos because it's not a thing. And like, it's just there forever. And I think it's so fucking funny. And yeah. So unfortunately, I don't think that feature is gonna live too long because Elon Musk loves disinformation. But yeah, it's so crazy to think that like less than 7 years or 6 years, this was like a company that had a positive reputation. Like, it's so scary to think.
Katie, $700 million invested.
God.
So that's cash that people gave and went out the door. And it was valued at $9 billion. And it never, it didn't not work in the network. It never ever worked.
See, isn't it funny though? Because I think of now, like, not that it's exactly equivalent, but like when I think of like almost like fraud or like a startup that everyone was like, this is gonna be huge and take all my money, and now it's like literally worth nothing, is like fucking cryptocurrency.
Yes!
And like, I think there's lawsuits now against that guy, which again, he's probably not gonna go to jail for 11 years, but like, oh my God.
Yep.
So much stupid shit that happens because of fucking money, because all this crusty old white men are like self-entitled and everyone has like a billionaire boner, and I'm over it, okay? I'm just fucking over it.
I talk about this a lot, and you know, Kate, I teach the young college youths.
They better not have billionaire boners, or else we're gonna have to crack them in half.
I would love to tell you, if I ever had an Elizabeth Holmes in my life come to me and be like,
oh boy,
Professor, I have a mind-blowing idea.
Well, you are in product development, so this
could
happen to you.
No, this does happen. Like, but it's never on this scale. And I would love to say, all you have to do is prove it works. Just start there. Don't worry.
That's it.
Don't worry about the money.
Don't drop out of school.
Don't drop out of school. Just show it works.
Yeah.
And then get the money. Like, and I feel like this generation coming up, my dream is that no one should be a billionaire. No one needs that much money.
No.
And this is what we're seeing with what you're saying, Elon Musk, but of course there's so many people that disagree with it. We saw it with Trump. We saw it with all these things. Like, just because you have money, it doesn't make you smart.
Yeah.
And that,
or a good person.
Oh, absolutely.
Most times it's synonymous with not a good person.
Yes. But people invest in smart than good people, right? Like, people could say, oh, there might be a shitty person, but they'll make me money because they're smart. And that's the thing that I'm like, that's not always A plus B equals C. That's not, that's just not true.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm like really ready for this next generation to be like, we're over it.
I mean, honestly, based on how our last election went, I saw a lot of positive directions for the youth. So
we'll see.
Oh, let's hope we keep doing that. But every day is scary in America.
But this was such a interesting time where it was like a time where people wanted to believe that this, and this is millennials, right? She's a millennial. Like, this is, I want to believe these millennials are going to come change the world. And at the time, let me tell you, Mom was like, God, Bridget, why couldn't you be a Mark Zuckerberg? Why couldn't you be an Elizabeth Holmes? And then later, you see how those two ding-dongs turn out. And you're like, thank God I wasn't that. Like,
thank God. We'd have a Hulu show about you. Who would play me as your sister? I don't know.
Can you imagine, Kate? Like, we couldn't have this podcast. Listeners, can you imagine?
No, she'd have to podcast from jail. God.
Oh my God. Can you? Oh, that'd be horrible. The audio. But I gotta say, if you listen to this episode, you have to be equally as fascinated as us in just the chaos that is belief. People invest in what you can be than what you are. And And it is the ultimate, like, snake salesman.
Snake oil. Oh, yeah.
Snake oil. And it's just like, it'll happen again. We don't know how. It'll be in a different way. And I
think it's happening right now with NFTs because they fucking popped up on the Macy's Day Parade and I was like, is this a joke? Did the Joker from Batman hijack my TV and it's all a prank? It wasn't, guys. Like, that was fucking real. Whoa, boy. People are selling like Microsoft Paint pictures for like billions of dollars. What even? I can't. Anyway, the moral of the story is if you have not watched The Dropout, which, like, wow, you listened to this episode and that's cool, but, like, you should watch The Dropout because it is a really, really, really good miniseries.
Well, and I want in the comments, how many years is Sunny going to jail?
Yeah, let's do some bets. I love a good bet.
I want to know when is Sunny's testify?
His kept getting pushed back for some stupid reason. I'm gonna bet like 5 or 6, and then he's gonna get out on good behavior or some bullshit.
I hope not.
Dude, but she's like pregnant.
That's terrible.
That's like terrible.
Think about that poor baby. That poor
and it's her second
baby.
kid, which means she already has a kid. Oh my god, imagine if it's like a cycle and then like her child now is like, oh no, mom went to jail. So like I have to like make sure we don't go to jail, but then they go to jail and then it's like
Enron Theranos and the next thing.
Oh no.
I swear to God.
Oh god. Hate it.
I hate it.
Anyway, that's The Dropout, y'all. Give it a watch. Give us your bets. We love it. Woo!
Wow. This was a little different than our comedy com-con.
Yeah, we're a little serious.
We get passionate sometimes.
You know, what can you do? That's life, right? Life sucks.
We're multi-dimensional, okay?
Yeah. Well, Bridge.
Yes.
Now it's my turn to pick. And guess what season we are in now?
Holiday season. Do-do-do-do-do. Ha-boo-boo-ba.
What's the song where it's like, somebody made a meme where it was like, this song just sounds like someone's doing witchcraft in the woods. And
I don't know.
Oh, it's simply having wonderful Christmas time. I don't know why. I thought that was so funny. Anyway, it's the holiday season, everyone. Wow. And you know what that means? We're gonna do some holiday season.
Ooh.
Holiday season. I have a pick. I'm a little curious if you've seen this.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this is considered a Christmas movie. I know holiday does kind of get lumped with Christmas, but what are you gonna do? This is from 2004.
Ooh.
So I saw this movie in theaters.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been, I would say, a lot of people adopted it as like, yeah, this is like, you know, one of our Christmas classics now, whatever. It's rated G, which is rare. And it features an actor that our mother really likes a lot.
Oh, I'm gonna say Tom Hanks. Oh, what's happening?
It's Tom Hanks. That's correct.
What movie's happening in 2000? What is it? What is it? I don't even know. Oh my god.
Oh god. Okay, I'm gonna read you the one sentence. On Christmas Eve, a young boy embarks on a magical adventure to the North Pole on the... Okay, this says the fucking movie title. The Polar Express! While learning about friendship, bravery, and the spirit of Christmas. Wow. We're going on the train bridge.
Tom Hanks is in every movie.
He plays like multiple characters in this movie. He plays the train conductor, he plays Santa, and then he plays a hobo that lives on top of the train.
Is he real?
I don't know. What? Have you seen this?
He's like Cadbury. He's everywhere.
Oh, Cadbury. I wish Cadbury was in this movie.
So I have not seen this.
Oh my god. How did I fucking know that?
Of course you did. Because our ages are perfectly far apart that I would definitely skip this one.
You would never see this.
Never.
I'm so interested to hear your take on it because it's interesting. I actually am surprised it's rated G. Not that like it's not a kid's movie. It definitely is. But like sometimes it gets like intense.
Oh,
there's suspense, y'all. Okay.
I can't wait. All aboard, Kate. That's me. Ooh. Let's do it.
On Pole Express. We're gonna go see. There's weird songs. Josh Groban sings a song, so that's cool.
Oh, Josh Groban.
Raise me up, Santa. He doesn't sing that.
He's like Tommy Hanks.
Tom Hanks raises me up.
Wow, Kate. I can't wait. Let's do it.
Well, Bridge. If you wanted to invent something.
Oh, God.
I hope you want to invent a movie with me. Because that's fine. We'll
I'm
do
manifesting that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a vision board.
But if it wasn't a movie and it was something else that like didn't work and like never worked and it never will work and like you just like really believed it, Bridge, I probably would like sit you down and like have a little intervention and like maybe make you watch all of the Dropout miniseries with me, all 7 hours of it, and like, you know, hopefully avoid that fate for you because you're better than that, you know.
Wow, that's a good sister.
It's because I love you.
Kate,
Bridge.
if you realized at work you weren't being taken serious, and all of a sudden your podcast voice dropped a couple octaves.
Oh my.
Your outfits became turtlenecks.
Uh-oh.
And your lipstick was a terrible red shade for your complexion. I would say, stop it right there. You don't need that, Kate. You don't need that to be taken serious by the patriarchy. Because you deserve that promotion just the way you are.
Thanks, Bridge. I work in this education system and there's really not a lot of patriarchy in there because it's like all ladies. But like,
wow, that's great.
Thank you. Listeners, and if you also love honesty and
no blinking. Okay.
kindness and
Ian Gibbons,
moral ethics,
Erika Cheung,
the Wall Street Journal,
Tyler
Schultz, lawyers who are genuine and not
CMS
just
when they're doing
money.
their job right.
CMS. Yeah, are you guys following? Hello? Is anyone there? If you guys love all that, you should write us a review.
Hey!
We love reviews. We love written reviews.
We do.
You can review us on Apple Podcasts, along with some other podcasting apps. And we also have a website, sisterswhoseenit.com. On our website, you can request a movie. So, listeners, we are entering the month of December. We like to focus on some holiday, winter-themed movies during this month. So, if you have a recommendation, put it on there, and maybe we will do it. And, Bridge, what else can they do on our website?
They can buy us coffee,
Woo!
which is money. And if you gave us $700 million,
wow,
we would do a better job with that investment. Yeah. Specifically, all of the little like quirky journeys we've been on, and then we say trademark. We'll just bring that to life. Okay, so imagine Broad City, but sisters. Imagine Pen 15, but sisters.
New Jersey. Oh, okay.
Imagine not the Dropout, but making fun of it in a scary movie way.
Oh,
that's us.
I'm ready for that.
Okay.
I love that idea.
Can I tell you?
Wow.
So you could do that. Also, if you're like, well, I wish my money would like get something, you know, and not be like a fake blood testing company.
That's fair.
We have real stuff. You can get. It's our merchandise. And if you listen to the last episode, we made a special merchandise for our special guest, which I sent to him, and he better put it on and take a picture, and we will post it. And if you want something special too, I don't know, just ask us. Maybe I'll make it. But if not, you could buy it.
Yeah.
Check out the merch.
Y'all, it's the holiday season. Giving is love, or whatever.
Your friends, like, that listen to this, and you're like, oh my God, what can I get my bestie that has everything? And you're like, wait a second. In a world in the future, you can buy your bestie Sisters Who Seen It merchandise for the holidays.
Yeah.
That was my Elizabeth Holmes.
I liked it. That's good. It sounded like a movie trailer voice.
Oh, did it?
A little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm done with that. So let's move on.
Right, so check all that out, and we hope to hear from you. All right. Well, we'll see y'all next week for the Polar Express. Choo, 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 choo. Something. Yeah. Oh, and there's a hot chocolate song in here. Oh, you don't know any of this. Wow. But get ready for the ride you're about to get on. It's something. Wow. I don't know how else to describe it. There's songs.
Can't wait.
You should watch it with Kate. Okay, she's little. She doesn't know what's happening. It's all right.
I love it. Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. I love
you.
Bye-bye.
Make
good choices. Don't sell things that don't exist. Don't get into
defraud
medical devicing.
Anyone at all.
Be nice to you. Be nice. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Sisters Who Seen It. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at sisterswhoseenit.com. where you can email us, request movies to be reviewed, and keep up to date with all things Sisters. Also, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. See you next week.